We're going to spend a little bit of time talking first of all about what solar fixtures are, and a new phrase that I'll introduce is PV luminaire. And the reason why I'm introducing that phrase is because UL is launching a new investigation into a standard for PV luminaires called UL 8801. And later on this year, we'll be introducing our first UL listed completely off-grid PV luminaire. We'll spend some time talking about how the PV luminaires work, and then go through most of the presentation is going to be about typical applications. Where would you use a solar product versus an on-grid exterior lighting product? And then we'll spend some time going through the product lineup, some tips and tricks, and then we'll get you to the quiz and the Q&A. So if any of you are like me, your first experience using solar products might have been something that looked like this. You went to Home Depot, or you went onto Amazon.com or Ace Hardware, and you found yourself some nice solar powered landscape lighting, and you had visions of making your house look a little bit like this, right? At least that's what I had. And then probably about 3 months later, you realized that your house looked like this because either the battery died, or you kicked it over with the lawnmower, or you just didn't know what had happened, right? Solar's come a long way since then, and some of you who have been maybe specifying some higher end industrial and commercial solar projects might have some experience with a setup that looks something like this, where you had to integrate the PV panels, maybe a wind turbine, maybe a generator, complex controls along with the lighting system, and it was tens of thousands of dollars, and it was very, very difficult for you to figure out, how to get the right setup for your application. Well, Solera does things a little bit differently. So with Solera by Light Efficient Design, we're the first to market with easy to use, reliable, plug and play, all-in-one cost-effective solar lighting fixtures. So the way that we've gone to market is to make our products very simple to install and simple to use by incorporating the PV panel, the battery, the controls, and the LED module all into one simple to install assembly. So how do solar fixtures work, right? So the basic principle here is that PV luminaires or solar fixtures utilize solar modules to harness energy from the sun. They use that energy to then store in a high capacity battery. And then the battery is what actually operates the LED module. So there's no direct connection between the solar panel and the LED module. The solar panel is only there to charge the battery. And then at nighttime, when it senses that it's dusk, the control system, which is the brains of the system, turns on the LED module, and you have light from there. The batteries that we use in most of our products here are very, very high capacity, what are called lithium iron phosphate batteries. You'll see that abbreviated sometimes as LFP. It's a very similar battery to what's used in most of the electric vehicles that are on the road today. Very, very high capacity, can withstand a very deep discharge, can withstand multiple charge cycles, and so is a very good choice for the types of applications where solar lighting fixtures would be used. We basically have kind of two flavors in our off-grid line. It starts with those fixtures that are completely off-grid. You don't need access to any of the existing infrastructure. It doesn't use any energy from the grid. So this is a very, very easy to install, lightning fast. So you don't even necessarily need to be an electrician to install these because you're not connecting to the grid. It's a completely self-contained DC assembly, and it's just set on the pole and forget it. Great tool for added safety and security where you don't have easy access to the grid and you need to bring lighting to your application. But we've also got, and we are the only manufacturer in the US right now that has what we call a hybrid solution. And the hybrid solution does need access to the existing infrastructure because it uses both solar power and the existing grid infrastructure to generate light. When there is good solar energy available and you're charging the batteries successfully, then it's going to operate off of that battery. But where you have maybe periods of long periods of time where you have overcast skies, rain and snow, especially in the northern climates, or you have extremely short daylight. For example, I heard we have someone on from Alaska. So in the wintertime in Alaska where you have very short daylight available, it's also connected to the grid so that if the battery is not fully charged, you have that backup. The grid is not used to charge the battery at all. It is only there as backup if the battery is below charge. So this is a cool tool to use in retrofit applications. Maybe if you have an existing high pressure sodium shoebox and you want to retrofit that to LED, instead of going to a standard on-grid exterior fixture, use this hybrid and get the additional energy savings of being off-grid most of the time. So let's talk about the typical applications where you would normally use off-grid solar lights. The number one application that we see in the projects that we work on is parking lots. These could be existing parking lots that maybe had not been used previously at nighttime, so you need to bring lighting to them. They could be new construction applications, or they could be parking lots where the grid infrastructure has been damaged in some way, maybe by a contractor digging nearby and interrupting the line. So that's the most popular application, but also we see transportation shelters, billboards and signs, parks and greenways, and municipal applications. These are all areas where solar lighting makes sense. The reason why folks use solar lighting is, again, because they don't have easy access to the grid infrastructure, or because the grid infrastructure has been damaged in some way. If you are, say, a local municipality and you're putting in a new park in your hometown, maybe you're putting in a new bike path or a walkway and it's going to be several thousand feet. In order to bring the grid to power on-grid fixtures, national average cost about $25 per foot in order to dig the trench, pull the wire, get your pole set, etc. So you can save a significant amount on installation by using a solar fixture versus an on-grid solution. And why is my slide not going forward all of a sudden? Can you forward me? There we go. So I want to talk about the most popular. This represents about 80% of the unit volume that we have here at Solera is the area light. And we're going to talk about two different flavors of area lights. This first one is what we call our RP SAL. This is a completely off-grid, all-in-one design. The PV panel is built into the top of that housing. And then underneath you see the LED module and then a compartment that houses the battery and the control module and the motion sensor. It's a great tool to use to bring light to, like we said, bike paths, parks and greenways, parking lots, perimeter lighting around an industrial complex. We store this in inventory in 5,000K for quick ship, but it's also available in 3,000, 4,000K, or in an amber version for use near the coastline in Florida and the Carolinas. That lithium iron phosphate battery can provide up to 50 hours of battery life. But the thing you have to be aware of with this particular area light is that the operating temperature range and the temperature range where you can charge the battery is 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So this fixture was really designed for warmer temperature climates along the Gulf Coast, along that southern smile of the United States. It certainly can be used in northern climates, especially if it's going to be used in an area where the area won't be utilized during the wintertime. For example, maybe an outdoor basketball court where kids won't be playing when it's below 32 degrees, right? But you need to be aware of that limitation of this particular all-in-one area light. Can you go forward, please? The next version is what we call our SL SAL. And this one is great for use in colder temperature climates because the battery in this product can operate and charge all the way down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit or -20 degrees C for our Canadian friends. This has been used very successfully throughout Ontario, throughout the northern tier of the country. And it's very similar to the RP SAL. The one big difference is that the solar panel is separate from the LED module. So that allows you to independently aim those two. And when we get into the tips and tricks, you'll see why that's important. This one is also available in a higher lumen application. It runs from 5,900 lumens up to 9,800 lumens, and then is stocked in a variety of color temperatures as well. So here's a typical application that we have here on the left side of the screen. So this happens to be a university in the Northeast. This is a walkway that goes next to one of their academic buildings. And this particular university built a residence hall just to the left of where that walkway is. So where that only used to be used during the daytime for the administration and for the faculty, now with the new residence hall, it was being utilized by students, especially at night, walking back and forth to the main area of campus. And they really didn't want to dig up all that beautiful brick in order to get to bring a traditional grid-powered light fixture. So this is a great application where solar would solve that problem for them, right? So without digging up that brick and pulling the infrastructure, you can bring lighting to that walkway. Here's another application that is one that is probably a little bit more typical, right? So this is a horse farm in Ocala, Florida. This area is a bridle path, and the jockeys were using this bridle path to warm the horses up before they went out and did their thoroughbred training on the track. Jockeys wanted to get there at 4 o'clock in the morning when it was still dark. So we're going to utilizing our post top fixture to bring some nice low level illumination to that bridle path early in the morning, so that the horses can see each other and that they're able to work their horses earlier in the morning before the sun comes up. I also want to point out that the applications don't necessarily have to be retrofit applications or existing structures. So this was a new construction application. This also happens to be in Florida. This is the VA outpatient clinic in Ocala, where they were putting up a brand new building, and working with the architect, we specified solar fixtures versus traditional on-grid fixtures, and went through the calculation of, all right, $25 a foot, what would it cost to bring the infrastructure to this large parking lot versus setting up solar fixtures? And in this particular case, we saved the general contractor about $117,000 on this installation. So solar can also be used in new construction applications. Just want to give you an idea of the varying applications where area lights are used. So on the left, we have, this is a high school in California that had some auxiliary parking and sports court that was on the back side of the building. Was previously unused after hours, and they wanted to bring some lighting to that area so the kids could use the basketball courts, and anyone going to night classes could utilize that auxiliary parking area. So that was a really cool application. On the right is a ski trail that was up in kind of central Ontario, Canada. And this was a park that had a cross-country ski trail that previously was unlit, and utilized that SL cell with the colder temperature battery in order to bring lighting to that trail and extend the time that residents could use it. I want to talk about a couple of the other fixtures that we have available, and if we can pause the slideshow so that I can point to some of them on the shelf behind me. So, we talked about some typical applications. Area lights in parking lots was number one. Number two was signs. And we've got a couple of different products that can be used in a sign application. The first one is what we call our solar floodlight, which is down here. So you can see PV panel on the front. On the opposite side is where the LED module is, and this can be angled, so you aim it in the direction that you need it. It's designed to be ground mounted and to aim up at a sign or a billboard. So popular product to use, for example, in a commercial office park or retail office park where they have directional signage, wayfinding signage, and the developer forgot to pull power so that they could light up the signs. Very popular product. In the back here, we have what we call our display light. And this is really designed also for a sign application, but to be mounted up on top. And you can see PV luminaire here. Here are the LED modules, and this throws light down from the top of the sign. So just depending on the different area where you might want to use it. Solar fixtures are also available in a variety of wall packs. So here's a standard wall pack and what we call our mini wall pack. Again, these can be placed in areas along walkways, garages, carports, driveways, multifamily applications, some recreational applications, where again, you want to bring some light to an area that didn't have it before, and you don't want to necessarily be pulling wires to get them there. You can put this slideshow back up. And go ahead. So when you think about some of these products and the different applications, I just wanted to give a couple of pictures that would show you where they can be used, right? So here are those products that I was just describing, the display light and the floodlight, and the typical applications, right? So directional sign in a medical plaza. On the right-hand side, you see a beautiful sculpture. This was an area that was a former brownfield kind of being redeveloped by the local municipality, and put up some beautiful sculptures to enhance the view for residents and lit them up with the solar floodlight. That sculpture is about 22 feet high, so it gives you an idea of how well you can illuminate with just one or two solar fixtures. Some more examples, again, a monument sign at the entrance to a school. On the right side, you'll see the mailbox pod for a multifamily application. Again, you'd be surprised how often that developers don't think through all the way, and will have some of these amenities that don't have power pulled to them, and then residents want to use them when they get home late at night. So great opportunity for you to do that using these products. We also have a couple of more decorative style fixtures. We have a bollard and a post top. These are generally not used for what I would call general illumination. They're more for safety. The bollard obviously is indicating the edge of a walking path. The post top can be used to provide kind of a low-level safety illumination. You can see on the right side here, this was a university setting, kind of going again from an academic area to a residential area where the residents were not feeling safe walking home after classes at night. So utilizing the post top to be to bring that lighting there, but also to be a little bit more decorative. And then these are some of the mini floodlights. You see the step light and the mini floodlight and some of the applications there. Again, these are very low light output products and are designed to be used more for just safety illumination or to bring a small amount of illumination to a very small area. So really more residential and consumer type applications. I do want to spend some time talking about two new products that we're really excited about that we're launching this summer. So the first one is our 50-watt off-grid or hybrid solar area light. So previously we only had a 30-watt available that topped out at 5,900 lumens. This is our 50-watt product. This gets you up to 9,800 lumens. It uses a two solar panel design, so we maximize the solar collection. It's got an extremely high capacity battery, so we can ensure that 50 hours of uptime. And so in order to charge that battery, it requires the two solar panels. You should know that this product does ship in two different boxes. The LED module ships in one, and then that two-panel kit with the mounting rack ships in a separate box. It comes with a Y cable that connects all of the pieces together. And then there's an optional 10-foot extension cable that can be used if you want to remotely mount those solar panels. We're showing an installation where the solar panels can be mounted below the LED module because they're on the opposite side of the pole. They can also be mounted above, and then it could also be mounted via a slip fitter mounting as well. This is available in both the off-grid and the hybrid and has that cold temperature operating range, so it'll be great to use in the northern tiers of the country. But this is really wonderful because it opens up some of the larger parking areas and larger area lighting applications, especially with like ESCOs and working on state municipal government work, where just using the 30-watt 5,900 lumen product was not providing enough light output. And then another product that we're very excited about is this is going to be a great product for the distributors that are on the line that want to have a good stocking product to show to their contractors, or for anyone who needs a multi-purpose, a multi-function light to use. This is a two-piece dual function floodlight. It's a 10-watt, 1,100 lumen product, stocked in 4,000K. Great product to use for flag illumination. It can be used in transportation shelters where you need to have a solar panel kind of mounted over top of a roof and then the LED module underneath to provide illumination for folks that are waiting. Park pavilions, smaller signs. It's also a great work light or camp light. It does include a USB charging port, so you can charge a cell phone or any other USB device utilizing the battery and the LED module if you're out away from the grid. I don't know why every once in a while this thing doesn't want to go forward. So let's talk about some tips and tricks related to how can you be successful with selling and specifying solar products. So go ahead, please. The first one is pay attention to your location, right? I'm surprised how often I have to tell people this, but in order for solar fixtures to work, the fixture location has to have a view of the sun. So if you're in, say one of those parks and rec applications that I spoke about earlier, and it's very heavily treed and there's a lot of shade, probably not the best location to specify a solar fixture. Also in very dense urban environments where you have tall buildings that are providing lots of urban shade and not a lot of sun reaching the solar panel during the day, not a great area for solar products. But once you have a view of the sun, one thing you want to make sure that you do is when the product is installed, you want that solar panel facing the equator. So you maximize the solar power on the solar power being collected by that solar module. So in the United States and Canada, facing the equator would be facing south. So as close to due south as you can aim it would be great. East or west is fine. You never want your solar panel facing north. In the situation where it's facing north, you will not collect sufficient sunlight during the day to fully charge the battery, and you'll have some operating issues as a result because the battery is not getting a full charge every day, especially in the winter time. Go ahead, please. The next thing that you want to do is get tilted. So pay attention to the tilt angle of the product. You want your product tilted a little bit from directly horizontal. You don't want to install it flat unless you happen to be right on the equator. You want it tilted, and the way that you measure that tilt is based on the latitude of where the product is being installed. So here in Middleton, Massachusetts, we're about, I don't know, 41, 42 degrees north latitude. So we'd want a 41 or 42 degree tilt on the solar panel when it's installed. Go ahead. Another tip that I can tell people is that once you have specified your product, you've made your sale, it's been shipped to you, and you're getting ready to go out and do your install, it's always a great idea to set these out in the sun and get them pre-charged in your shop or outside your location before you get it up on the pole. That way you can ensure that you've got a full charge on the battery, and you can test for proper operation of the remotes and that it's programmed the way that you want it to be operating. And it's easier to do that while it's sitting there on the ground in front of your shop versus, it's up on a pole and you've got to drive a bucket truck around to access them all. And then lastly, go ahead. I mentioned programming. So our area lights come with a number of different operating modes that can be programmed, from constant output for a period of time after dusk to motion sensing modes that operate most of the time at a dimming level and then come up to a higher level of operation when they sense motion. There's also a couple of different timed options as well. Just like I said, pre-charge in your shop, it also makes sense to pre-program the operation that you want in your shop versus while it's on the pole. The reason why you want to do that is because using the remote to program it, if you have a dozen fixtures in front of you and using one remote to program them, it's much easier than going from pole to pole to pole when they're already up on the poles. Where you can, when you're designing for a solar product, you want to try to design for dimming, and you want to try to maximize the uptime by using that motion sensing mode. And we encourage you to do that by shipping them stock from the factory in that 80/20 motion sensing mode. That allows you to provide light really only when it's needed. And I don't know what's going on here. It tells me my microphone was disconnected. Hopefully everyone can still hear me.
You're good, Chris. I could hear you the whole time.
All right. Cool. So you want to design for dimming and then design for using the motion sensing mode. That is really designed to maximize the life of that battery, what's called the autonomous operation of the battery, so that if you do have a couple of days of overcast skies or the shorter days in the wintertime, you'll be sure to get good performance out of the fixture. I mentioned the control system at the beginning of our presentation. That control system is intelligent, and it's going to want to try to preserve the battery as much as possible. So when it senses that the battery is getting down below 20% charge, rather than having the fixture go dark, it's going to tend to dim the fixture and reduce the power output so that it can keep some of that remaining battery charge available. Once it gets below about 10%, then it will actually shut the fixture off. And the reason why it's doing that is because you want to retain a little bit of energy still in that battery so that the control system will operate properly when the sun comes back out the next day. Just want to talk about some of the support materials that are available for you. What I just talked about with the aiming and the design characteristics you can find in our best practices guide. That's available off of our website or from your light efficient design salesperson. We also have a variety of application photos, some installation videos and product videos, as well as a website that's chock full of case studies, all the files that you would ever need, from data sheets to installation manuals to IES files for those of you who are doing your own design work, all can be downloaded off of our website. Lastly, oftentimes people get a little bit nervous when they specify their first solar project. Will it work? Do I have enough poles? Do I have the right light for the area that I'm trying to illuminate? We can provide you with any layout and design assistance that you need. And we will design for dimming and design for motion sensing, as I mentioned in my tips and tricks area, and provide the right level of illumination for the type of application you're working on, whether it's a sporting court, a parking lot, or whatever the application may be. As I mentioned on the website, all kinds of application photos and case studies are available. We do have also a generous sample policy. So for those of you who, again, want to try before you buy, give us a PO for a sample product. We'll extend the dating for 60 days, let you put it up, install it, try it out for 60 days. If you don't like it for any reason at all, just, it's the wrong color, any reason at all, put it back in the original packaging, send it back to us, and we'll take it back, no questions asked. If you decide after that 60-day period you love it, then we'll go ahead and bill you for that sample, and then you can go on from there. And then lastly, anyone who needs help with either a site visit or with commissioning of these projects, certainly that's available at an additional fee, and work with your light efficient design sales representative in order to get that process with me. Can we turn off the slideshow for just a second so I can go through just a couple more things? I get a lot of questions from distributors and contractors, mostly about mounting, right? And I want to tell you that the area lights, all of them, come standard with what we call a slip fitter mounting. The slip fitter is designed to go over a standard 2 3/8 inch tenon. If you are working with an existing pole, most likely it has a tenon on the pole already, right? So this will just go over that tenon. If it doesn't have one, or if you're working with a new installation, you want to, generally speaking, order the installation accessories from the pole supplier versus from us. Now, we do make accessories available, but why would you want to order them from the pole supplier versus us? The number one reason is just to ensure that it's going to fit the pole correctly. Ours are kind of a generic sizing, so they may or may not fit the specific diameter of the pole that you're ordering or that is installed out there. So if you get it from the pole supplier, you'll do it'll be much more likely that it will work correctly. And then I also wanted to point out that in the unlikely event that a solar fixture does become completely discharged, the battery becomes completely and totally discharged, sometimes even putting it back out into the sun and having it exposed to a full day sun won't get it to come back up. So we do sell a separate charger, an AC charger that can be connected to a port on the fixture that allows you to charge it from AC and try to bring it back to life. This is also something that I recommend if you're going to be doing a lot of solar projects, you have 1 or 2 of these on hand in your shop, because you can use those to quickly charge new products before you ship them out and before you get them installed.